And just one thing we've seen probably across all industries now is things like the shutdown and you not being able to travel your 5K or outside of your county and those types of things as well. How has that idea kind of impacted manufacturing facilities when you've got, say, large numbers of people, cross county people as well, particularly in the Midlands as well. Has that impacted heavily on those types of companies?
The 5K restriction wouldn't impact in any way in any of the industries that I work in particular, because most of them would be considered critical businesses, critical manufacturing, whether it's food. I do a little bit in the lift industry. They're considered essential services. They could be in hospitals. So that wouldn't impact it. I suppose where there has been an impact is, look, you could have a line, a production line that would run 24/7. It's how you clean the machinery down, whether that's food or pharma, to make sure that people are working safely. And look, companies have come up with some ingenious ideas, whether that's splitting their shift, whether that's a longer downtime, and whether that's, for one example, is a company that we work with in Dublin West, where they do a staggered shift, where one shift you will go in, so it still works 24/7, but it's where it was 12 and 12, it's now 8, 8, 8. So what happens is the guys go in, they work for the first team do a full 8-hour shift. The second team come in and clean down the machines for an hour, work their shift, so they work for 6 hours, then they clean down for the next team to come in. And likewise, when the guys come in that are doing that 8-hour shift, because the last shift work for 7 hours, and then there's an hour deep clean, and then the guys have a break and it comes in. So yes, there is a loss of hours, but it's continuous work. The work's a left machine, so everybody's healthy and safety. It's just people are, I suppose, have to show ingenuity. A lot of the engineers that I'm working with in pharma, pharma and heavy goods production, are now getting a really good work-life balance. They're getting to work from home. They're maybe doing 3 days in the office, 2 off, then doing 2 in the office and 3 at home. So they're getting the continuity of a 5-day week, maybe spread out with a gap of the weekend in the middle. A lot of people are really taking to that idea. There hasn't been a drop off in productivity. Obviously, companies are now investing in technology, and it's probably changed a lot of the industries for the better, and a lot of mindsets for the better.
Did you feel that concept of maybe loss of productivity might have been, say, a concern at the start? Like, did you find companies kind of a bit reluctant to maybe look at some of those, ingenious ideas or innovative ways of actually making things work? I mean, did you find, did that come across?
It did. A lot of companies were saying, look, we're going to, like, no one really knew, because COVID was obviously running at the same time as Brexit, how COVID was going to impact and how Brexit was going to impact on how companies would structure. So there was that, look, do we have to reduce people's hours? We haven't got the same productivity. One major confectionery company who we deal with saw it as an opportunity, to kind of grow their business, to look at it and say, look, we're not going to go. We know that other companies are going to struggle. It's a perfect time to go and maybe look, improve what we're doing on the line by adding more bodies, by spending a little bit more, by improving our products. They've actually been quite successful in winning large scale contracts, with some I suppose, where some of their competition have rolled back because of the lack of certainty. They've actually gone out and won business, because
Right.
they were prepared to spend an extra little bit. Best example is, of 2 maintenance techs who have come from very different environments, all learning a new trade, a new skill, but because of them, the site is actually there's more efficiencies to scale. They can work longer. They've, because the machines are able to run longer, they're able to bring in more general operatives. Again, a huge area that we've seen growth in. Health and safety, again, another area that's flourishing, because of, we have to show ingenuity around how workplace practices. We have to kind of look and say who is a necessity to be on site, and who is not a necessity to be on site, and it's streamlined an awful lot of procedures. I found that, in particular, when it comes to the ingenuity side, the closer you are to a machine, the more likely you're going to be on site, the further you are to a machine, the less likely you are to be on site. If you're closer to a laptop and you're like, particularly production planners, people like that, they don't need to be on site. They can manage the metrics once the metrics are reported correctly. So there has been a huge balancing off, and companies that have gone on down the lean journey, I suppose it's proof in the pudding that, you know, efficiencies, if your production strategy is correct, or if your manufacturing strategy is correct, you know, lean will come through. And look, we know from some of the pharma companies that we're working with, the lean journey, the process that they're on has probably been sped up because of COVID.